In the small village of Umuokwu, everyone knew Mazuma. He was hard to miss, though not because of his charm or status. Mazuma was a dwarf, short and round, with a face full of wrinkles. That made him look older than his 30 years. His ears were usually large and his hands were rough from years of labor. Mazuma worked as a potter, crafting clay pots and bowls for the villagers. While his pots were sturdy and well made, he struggled to sell them because people often made fun of him. Mazuma, with your short hands, how do you even shape the clay? They would tease. Laughter followed him wherever he went, not because he was funny, but because he was different. Despite their mockery, Mazuma dreamed of a better life. At night, as he sat alone in his small hut, he would stare at the moon and whisper, "God, when will someone see me for who I am? When will someone love me?" But there was one person who had captured Mazuma's heart, the village Princess Ihenkiri. Princess Ihenkiri was everything Mazuma was not. She was tall and graceful, with skin that glowed like the morning sun. Her long hair, wavy hair flowed down her back like a river, and her smile could light up the darkest night. The villagers adored her, not just for her beauty, but for her kindness. Every market day, Ihenkiri would walk through the village, greeting everyone with warmth. She would help the elderly carry their goods, listen to children's stories, and laugh with the women as they braided hair under the big iroko tree. She was a princess, but she treated everyone as her equal. Mazuma often watched her from afar, hiding behind his store of clay pots. She seemed to float when she walked, her laughter ringing like a melody. To Mazuma, she was a goddess. He knew she would never notice someone like him, but that didn't stop him from dreaming. If only Ihenkiri could love me, Mazuma thought, I would be the happiest man alive. While Ihenkiri was the village treasure, Butute was its trouble. Butute was a mad woman, known for her unpredictable behavior. Her clothes were always dirty and torn, and her hair stuck out in white tufts. She wandered the village aimlessly, shouting and laughing at nothing in particular. The villagers avoided her as much as possible. If Butute approached them, they would quickly cross the other side of the road. Children will giggle behind her back, and adults will shake their heads in pity. But Butute didn't seem to mind. She lived in her own world, carrying an old bag filled with random items she picked up from the street. Sometimes she would burst into song, her voice loud and off-key. Other times, she would chase chicken through the village, shouting, "These are my soldiers." Mazuma, like everyone else, avoided Butute. "I have enough problems of my own," he would mutter whenever he saw her coming. Little did he know that their lives were about to collide in the most unexpected way. One evening, after another long day of being ignored by the villagers, Mazuma sat in his hut and made a decision. "If Ihenkiri won't notice me, I will make her notice me," he said aloud. His voice echoed in the empty room. He had heard stories about the village herbalist, a man said to have powers to make the impossible happen. People whispered about how he could cure sickness, bring rain, and even make someone fall in love. Mazuma didn't like the idea of using charms, but he was desperate. The next morning, Mazuma set out for the herbalist's hut. The path to the hut was long and winding, cutting through the forest at the edge of the village. As the Mazumas walked, he thought about Princess Ihenkiri. He pictured her smiling at him, holding his hand and calling him her husband. The thought filled him with hope. When he finally reached the herbalist's hut, he hesitated. The hut was small and dark, with herbs and bones hanging from the roof. A strange smell filled the air, a mix of spice and smoke. Mazuma took a deep breath and stepped inside. Inside the hut, the herbalist sat on a low stool, grinding something in a clay bowl. He was an old man with a long grey beard and eyes that seemed to see right through Mazuma. "What brings you here, Mazuma?" the herbalist asked without looking up. Mazuma's heart raised. "Herbalist, I need your help," he said, bowing his head. "I want Princess Ihenkiri to love me. Please, can you make it happen?" The herbalist stopped grinding and looked at Mazuma. "Love is not a game," he said. "It is a gift from the gods." "Are you sure this is what you want?" Mazuma nodded eagerly. "Yes, herbalist, I am sure. I will do anything." The herbalist sighed and stood up. He walked to a shelf filled with jars and picked up a small key. "This key represents the princess," he said, placing it in Mazuma's hand. "Keep it safe. If you lose it, the spell will be broken." Then the herbalist handed Mazuma a ring. "This is a magic ring," he said. "When you see the princess, touch her with the ring. Within 1 hour, she will fall deeply in love with you." Mazuma's eyes lit up. "Thank you, herbalist. Thank you." "But wait," the herbalist said. "Hold up a hand. There are rules. You must stay inside your house for 3 days. No food, no water, and no visitors. If you fail, the spell will not work." Mazuma hesitated. 3 days without food or water. It sounded impossible, but the thought of Princess Ihenkiri kept him going. "I'll do it," he said. Mazuma returned to his small hut with the herbalist's instruction fresh in his mind. He held the small key and the ring tightly, as if they were treasures. 3 days without food or water, he muttered to himself, is a small price to pay for love. The first day was the hardest. Mazuma's stomach growled and his throat felt dry. He laid on his mat, staring at the ceiling, counting the hours. Memories of Princess Ihenkiri filled with his mind. Her laughter, her graceful walk, her kind words to the villagers. He whispered to himself, soon she will be mine. On the second day, hunger turned into weakness. His leg felt heavy and his hands trembled. He thought about sneaking a drink of water, but remembered the herbalist's warning. If I fell, the spell won't work, he told himself. But the third day, Mazuma was a shadow of himself. His lips were cracked and his hair felt light. But the thought of Princess Ihenkiri kept him going. As the sun set on the final day, he stood up, though his leg whooped beneath him. It's time, he whispered, slipping the ring onto his finger. The next morning, Mazuma set out for the stream, where Princess Ihenkiri bathed every Wednesday. The path was long, winding through the forest. Mazuma walked slowly, leaning on a stick for support. His heart pounded with excitement and nervousness. Halfway to the stream, Mazuma heard a rustling behind him. He turned around and froze. It was Utute, the mad woman. She was running towards him, shouting, "Mazuma, Mazuma, is that you?" Mazuma's eyes widened in fear. "Oh no, not her," he muttered. Before he could react, Utute swung a long stick and struck him on the back. "Why are you hiding from me?" she yelled, laughing maniacally. His hand, still wearing the magic ring, brushed against Utute's arm. He didn't notice it at first, too busy dodging her attacks. After a few minutes, Utute suddenly stopped. She dropped her stick and stared at Mazuma with wide eyes. You are my love," she said, her voice soft. Mazuma blinked. What? What are you talking about?" "I've been waiting for you," Utute said. "Step closer. You are the man of my dreams." Mazuma's heart sank. He remembered the herbalist's warning. The first person he touched with the ring would fall in love with him. No, 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 he whispered, backing away. Utute smiled and reached out to hug him, but Mazuma ran as fast as his weak legs could carry him. "Ihenkiri is waiting," he muttered, trying to shake off the mad woman's word. When Mazuma arrived at the stream, his breath was heavy and his clothes were soaked with sweat. But all his worries melted away when he saw Princess Ihenkiri. She was standing by the water, her long hair shining in the sunlight. Her maids and bodyguards stood nearby, chatting and laughing. Mazuma took a deep breath and walked toward her. His heart raced as he bowed low and said, "Good morning, Princess Ihenkiri." The princess turned and smiled politely. "Good morning, Mazuma," she said, her voice like a melody. Mazuma's finger trembled as he reached out to touch her arm with the magic ring. She didn't notice, too busy instructing her maids. Mazuma stepped back, his heart pounding. "Now I wait," he whispered to himself. He sat by the stream watching the princess closely. An hour passed, but nothing happened. Princess Ihenkiri continued to laugh and talk with the maids as if nothing had changed. Mazuma frowned. "Is the spell not working?" he muttered. He approached her again, this time offering to help her carry her basket. As she handed it to him, he brushed her hand with the ring once more. "Surely it will work this time," he thought, stepping back to wait. But another hour passed, and still there was no change. Frustrated and desperate, Mazuma decided to take a bold step. He approached the princess again, this time wrapping his arm around her in a sudden hug. The princess froze in shock. Her bodyguards sprang into action, pulling Mazuma away and throwing him to the ground. "How dare you touch the princess?" one of them shouted, kicking him. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to," Mazuma stammered, but they weren't listening. After a few more kicks, they let him go, and Mazuma limped away, humiliated and defeated. As Mazuma made his way back to the village, he felt a pair of arms wrap around him from behind. His heart leaped. "It worked." Ihenkiri followed me, he thought, a smile spreading across his face. But when he turned around, his smile vanished. It wasn't Ihenkiri, it was Utute. "My love, I've been looking for you," she cried, pulling him into a tight embrace. Mazuma screamed and pushed her away. "Get off me!" But Utute was relentless. She followed him all the way to his hut, calling him my darling and my husband. No matter how much he yelled or begged, she refused to leave. Over the next few days, Utute made herself at home in Mazuma's hut. She cooked, cleaned and rearranged his things, all while calling him sweet names. The villagers laughed and whispered, "Mazuma and the mad woman, what a pair." Mazuma avoided going outside, too ashamed to face anyone. He regretted ever going to the herbalist. "If only I had trusted God instead of seeking a charm," he thought, tears streaming down his face. Days turned into weeks, and Utute's obsession with Mazuma grew stronger. She would follow him everywhere, sitting by his side, calling him my love, and touching his face as if he were the most precious thing in the world. Mazuma couldn't escape her. Whenever he tried to go out, Utute would run after him, pulling him back into the hut. At night, she would cling to him in bed, whispering sweet words in his ear, even though Mazuma was terrified. The villagers, who had once mocked Mazuma for his awkwardness, now watched with a mixture of pity and amusement. They couldn't help but laugh behind his back, but deep down, they knew how much he had suffered. Mazuma had wanted a life of beauty and love, but now he was stuck with Utute, the mad woman who wouldn't leave him alone. One day, Utute announced, "Mazuma, I'm going to have your children." She smiled widely, her eyes shining with madness. Mazuma's heart sank. "What have I done?" he asked himself, burying his face in his hands. "Why did I ever think this spell would work?" Soon after Utute's pregnancy became clear to everyone, Mazuma couldn't believe it. He had tried so hard to avoid her, but now she was carrying his child, a reminder of the terrible mistake he had made. Months later, Butute gave birth to a set of twins, a boy and a girl. They were born under the shade of the Iroko tree, surrounded by villagers who watched with curiosity. The children, like their mother, were loud and full of energy, making it impossible for Mazuma to have a moment of peace. Despite his regret, Mazuma did his best to care for his children. He couldn't bring himself to leave them, for they were his blood. Even if Butute madness made their home feel like a prison, in time, Butute gave birth to more children, 12 in total. With each new child, Mazuma's sadness deepened. His dream of a beautiful life with Princess Ihenkiri were gone, replaced by the loud, chaotic presence of his mad wife and children. He couldn't go anywhere without Butute following him, calling him my love, and holding on to him as if he were her lifeline. Mazuma had become a prisoner in his own life. He would go to the market and hear whispers. There goes Mazuma, the man who chose the mad woman over a princess. He had become a livestock, and each time he went out, he felt his heart breaking all over again. One day, Mazuma's parents called him to their house. Mazuma, his father said gently, "It's time you paid your bride price for Butute. You must make it official." Mazuma didn't want to, but he had no choice. Butute had already made it clear that she was not going anywhere, so reluctantly, he agreed. On the day of the bride price payment, the village gathered to celebrate, but the day quickly turned chaotic. Butute, in all her madness, began shouting at everyone, calling them names and waving her arms wildly. The villagers were used to her outbursts by now, but this was the day Mazuma would be born to her forever. Mazuma's parents looked on with sadness in their eyes. "Son, this is the choice you made," his mother said quietly. "We tried to warn you." Mazuma stood in the middle of the crowd, his face flushed with embarrassment. As he paid the bride price, he couldn't help but wonder what life would have been like if he had never gone to the herbalist. Mazuma's life with Butute grew even more difficult. As time went on, she had 12 children, and Mazuma was never allowed a moment of peace. The villagers no longer laughed, but instead they whispered with sympathy. Mazuma had made his choice, and now he was trapped in a life that wasn't his own. One day, as Mazuma sat alone by the river, watching the sunset, he realized something important. His life was not ruined because of Butute or the children. His life was ruined because he had turned to charms and spells instead of trusting in God. "I wanted the easy way out," Mazuma whispered, his voice trembling. "But now I see. If I had prayed, if I had trusted God, I might have had a better life. I might have had true love." He bowed down his head and prayed for the first time in many years. "God, I am sorry for seeking a shortcut. Please help me learn to trust you and not rely on spells and charm. Help me to find peace in your will." Years passed and Mazuma's regret never faded. He had children, yes, but they were not the children he had dreamed of with Princess Ihenkiri. His life was a daily struggle, and every time he saw the villagers laughing or gossiping, he couldn't help but feel the weight of his decision. He had learned a hard lesson that seeking quick fix or shortcuts, like going to herbalist or using magic, would never bring true happiness. True happiness, he realized, came from trusting God. As he sat with Butute one evening, watching their children play by the fire, Mazuma thought of the time when he could have had everything he dreamed of. But now, he understood that life was not about seeking beauty or wealth. It was about finding peace, love, and faith. He prayed, "God, please help me be contented with what I have, and help me raise my children in your love. Let me never again seek magic or shortcut. Let me trust in you always." Mazuma had learned that shortcuts might seem like the easy way, but they always lead to regret. The real path to peace and happiness came through faith. prayer and trusting that God's plan was greater than any spell or charm. The story of Mazuma, the dwarf who sought love through magic but found himself trapped in a life he never wanted, spread throughout the village, and as people shared his tale, they learned that no matter how hard life may seem, trusting in God would always lead to the right path.
Moral of the story: instead of seeking magical solutions, charms, or shortcuts, always turn to God in prayer. Trust in His plan, and He will guide you through life's challenges.